Picture a mighty boulder, unyielding and ancient, sitting in the path of a gentle stream. Day after day, the water flows barely a whisper against the stone's mass. You might scoff at the stream's effort. How could something so small dare to challenge something so vast? Yet over time, the stone wears down, reshaped by the quiet persistence of that unassuming current. This is the truth you've overlooked. Even the smallest effort sustained carves a legacy. Why then do you resist learning? Why do you cling to the comfort of stillness, fearing failure's shadow when every new lesson, no matter how tiny, moves you forward? Welcome to the journey of growth, where the theme is clear. Learn one new thing every day, no matter how small, and you will advance. In this section, the weight of stillness, we confront the invisible chains that hold you back, the fear of looking foolish, the belief that small steps are meaningless. You've felt this weight, haven't you? That hesitation before trying something new, that voice whispering, stay safe, don't risk it. But I'm here to tell you, stillness is heavier than struggle. Let's dive into the reasons you resist, unearth the power of small efforts, and ignite the fire to move forward. Feel the urgency. Your transformation begins now. Imagine yourself at a local community center, standing at the edge of a dance class. The room buzzes with laughter and the rhythm of confident feet. You've always wanted to learn to dance, to sway with grace, to feel music in your bones. But as the instructor calls for new participants, your heart races not with excitement, but with dread. What if you stumble? What if everyone laughs? The fear of looking foolish pins you to the wall like a shadow you can't shake. So you stay on the sidelines, watching others twirl and grow, while you remain rooted in the familiar ache of what if. This is a story you've lived, isn't it? Maybe not with dance, but with a language you didn't speak, a skill. You didn't try, a dream you didn't chase. You avoided learning because failure felt like a spotlight exposing your flaws to the world. But let me paint you a different picture. Weeks later, you return to that class. You trip on the first step, yes, people glance, but then you laugh at yourself. You try again. Day by day, your feet find the beat. That stream of small efforts, those awkward first moves, begins to shape you. The boulder of fear erodes under your persistence. As Napoleon Hill once said in Think and Grow Rich, Do Not Wait, the time will never be just right. Start where you stand and work with whatever tools you may have at your command. You started, you stumbled, you learned. And that's the victory. Small, steady efforts carved a new path through your fear. The lesson here ties to our takeaway. The smallest step forward shatters the illusion of failure. You don't need to be perfect. You need to begin. Like the stream against the boulder, your daily learning, no matter how minor, reshapes the impossible into the inevitable. Now picture yourself in a different scene. Every morning you wake at the same hour, brew the same coffee, and drive the same route to a job you've outgrown. There's comfort in this rhythm, a quiet safety in knowing exactly what comes next. But deep down, a whisper gnaws at you, a podcast on entrepreneurship you didn't finish, a book on graphic design gathering dust, a course on public speaking you scroll past. Why bother, you think? A few minutes a day won't change anything. I'm too busy, it won't matter. So you cling to routine, letting opportunities slip like sand through your fingers, believing small efforts are too insignificant to shift your world. This trap of routine is a silent thief. I've seen it in countless lives, and perhaps you felt it too. But let's fast forward. One day you're tired of the monotony. You pick up that book on design for just 10 minutes before bed. The next day you watch a tutorial. A week later you sketch something rough but yours. It's not much, but it's a start. Months pass, and those tiny daily efforts, 10 minutes here, a new tip there, build a portfolio. You land a small freelance gig. The boulder of stagnation, once immovable, now bears the grooves of your persistence. As James Allen wrote in As a Man Thinketh, a man's mind may be likened to a garden which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. You chose to cultivate drop by drop, and the garden of your potential began to bloom. The takeaway echoes again. Even the smallest learning sustained over time moves you forward. Routine is a cage only until you decide to chip away at it, like a stream smoothing the roughest stone. Why do you resist learning? Why does the thought of a new skill, a new idea, a new risk make you shrink into the shell of comfort? It's not laziness, not always. It's fear dressed in 1,000 disguises. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, Fear of wasted effort. You tell yourself, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough. What if I try and nothing changes? But let's strip this lie bare. Stillness is not safety, it's surrender. Every day you avoid learning, you build a wall between who you are and who you could become. How many dreams have you buried under the weight of not yet? Think of the stream and the boulder. The water doesn't question its strength. It doesn't pause to wonder if it's enough. It simply flows day after day until the stone yields. Your resistance is the boulder, massive, intimidating. But your small efforts, your daily learning, are the stream. They don't need to be grand. A single word of a new language, a single page of a book, a single attempt at a skill, these are the currents that wear down doubt. Pain is not your enemy, it's your teacher. Embarrassment is not your shame, it's your badge of courage. You resist because growth feels like a storm, but I promise you beyond that storm lies a horizon you've never seen. Will you stay still or will you flow? There's another lie you've believed, that small efforts don't matter. You look at the vast mountain of your goals, a new career, a mastered craft, a transformed life, and you think, how can 10 minutes a day climb that peak? You crave the avalanche, the sudden breakthrough, but ignore the slow, steady drip of progress. This illusion of insignificance keeps you frozen, convincing you that only giant leaps count. But tell me, how many mountains have been scaled in a single bound? How many cathedrals were built in a day? Return to the stream and the boulder. The water's power isn't in its force, but in its persistence. Each drop seems trivial, yet together they reshape stone. Your daily learning is the same. A new fact, a new technique, a new insight. These are the drops that forge your future. They don't roar, they whisper, but their quiet work is unstoppable. As Stephen Covey reminds us in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. Every small lesson you learn today sows the seed of tomorrow's triumph. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop doubting the power of the small. You are the stream. Keep flowing. When fear of failure or judgment stops you from learning, pause. Don't let that voice of doubt dictate your next move. Here's how to break through. First, name the fear. Write it down, whether it's I'll look stupid or I'm not good enough. Seeing it on paper strips its power. Next, commit to one tiny step. Not a leap, just a shuffle. If it's a skill like public speaking, start by reading a short speech aloud to yourself. If it's a language, learn one word. That's it. One. Then celebrate that step. Tell yourself, I did it. I moved. Finally, repeat this daily. Build a rhythm of small wins. Fear shrinks when action grows. This isn't about conquering the world in a day. It's about eroding the boulder of fear with the stream of effort. Each small lesson learned is a victory. You don't need to impress anyone but yourself. So when fear whispers, answer with action. Start now. What's one thing you can learn today? If routine has you trapped believing small efforts won't matter, it's time to disrupt the cycle. Begin with intention. Each morning, ask yourself, what's one new thing I can learn today? It could be a quick tutorial on a hobby, a podcast on a topic you've ignored, or even a conversation with someone who knows something you don't. Set aside just 5 to 10 minutes. Yes, that's enough. Protect this time like it's sacred. Turn off distractions. Focus after reflect. What did you gain? Write down one takeaway, no matter how small. This habit turns learning into a ritual, not a chore. Remember the stream. Its strength is in consistency, not volume. You're not reshaping your life overnight. You're carving it day by day. When doubt creeps in, reminding you that 10 minutes feels pointless, counter it with evidence. Look back at your notes. See the accumulation of small lessons. They matter. They move you. So break the routine today. What will you learn in the next 10 minutes? We've journeyed through the weight of stillness, unmasking why you resist learning, fear of failure, the trap of routine, the illusion that small efforts are meaningless. But the truth stands tall. Every new thing you learn, no matter how small, propels you forward. The stream doesn't doubt its path as it shapes the boulder. It simply flows. So must you. The takeaway of this section is clear. The smallest step forward shatters the illusion of failure and stagnation. You don't need to be flawless or fast, you need to be persistent. As we close this chapter, carry this with you. Growth isn't a sprint, nor is it a spectacle. It's the quiet work of daily learning, the steady drip of effort against the stone of doubt. In the next section, we'll build on this foundation, exploring how to sustain that momentum. For now, hold fast to this truth. You are the stream. Your small efforts are mighty. Final mantra flow daily. Your boulder will yield. Picture a barren patch of earth beneath your feet, cracked and dry, untouched by life. In your hand, a single seed, small, unremarkable, almost weightless. Could this tiny speck truly transform the desolate ground into a thriving forest? You hesitate, doubting its power. Yet deep within, a spark of curiosity flickers. What if you plant it? What if you nurture it day by day with just a drop of water, a moment of care? This is the essence of learning. One small seed of knowledge planted daily can grow into a towering forest of wisdom. Welcome to the Seed of Curiosity, where we unearth the profound strength hidden in the smallest acts of learning. You're here because you crave growth, because you feel the pull to move forward, even if the path seems daunting. I'm speaking directly to you. Yes, you who wonders if a single new word, a fleeting 5-minute effort, could ever matter. It does. Every tiny lesson is a seed, and every seed holds the promise of momentum. Let's dig into this truth together. Feel the weight of that seed in your palm and commit to planting it today. The journey of learning one new thing every day, no matter how small, isn't just progress, it's transformation. Are you ready to cultivate your forest? Imagine yourself as a student sitting at a worn desk, surrounded by textbooks in a language that feels like an impenetrable wall. Every page of Spanish grammar mocks you. Every conversation in class leaves you tongue-tied cheeks burning with embarrassment. You've tried for weeks, but the words slip through your mind like water through a sieve. Frustration claws at you. Why bother? You're ready to slam the book shut, to let the dream of fluency die. But one evening, exhausted and defeated, you pause. Instead of quitting, you choose one word, just one. Gracias. Thank you. You write it down, say it aloud, let it roll off your tongue. It's small, almost laughably so, but it sticks. The next day you pick another. Hola? Hello. Day by day, you plant these seeds one word at a time. At first, the growth is invisible. You stumble in conversations, still feel the sting of inadequacy. But a month passes and you notice something. You greet a classmate with hola and thank them with gracias. Their smile in response is a tiny sprout breaking through the soil. 6 months later, you're stringing sentences together, hesitant but real. The wall of language begins to crumble, not because you scaled it in one leap, but because you chipped away word by word. This is the gardener's lesson. Each tiny lesson, each single word is a seed planted in the soil of your mind. You didn't see the forest at first, only the barren earth of doubt. But you kept planting, kept watering with effort, and now confidence blooms where frustration once reigned. The takeaway echoes in your story. Small learning, no matter how insignificant it seems, builds unstoppable momentum. One seed becomes a root. Many seeds become a forest. Now picture yourself as a parent juggling endless responsibilities. Mornings are a blur of packing lunches, afternoons a race against school pickups, and nights a collapse into exhaustion. Once you had passion, sketching landscapes, losing yourself in the stroke of a pencil. But life buried that joy under a mountain of must-dos. You barely remember the feel of charcoal in your hand, yet something inside aches for that spark. One day, amidst the chaos, you find an old sketch pad on a dusty shelf. 5 minutes, that's all you can spare. You draw a single line, shaky but yours. It's nothing really, just a mark, but it feels like a seed dropped into forgotten soil. The next day, you steal another 5 minutes, a rough outline of a tree. Day after day, you carve out this sliver of time, sometimes before dawn, sometimes after the kids sleep. Progress is slow. Some sketches are clumsy, barely recognizable. Doubt creeps in. What's the point of this childish scribbling? But you persist. Weeks turn to months, and that sketch pad fills with shapes, shadows, entire scenes. One evening, your child points at a drawing of a mountain and gasps, "That's amazing, Mom." The joy in their voice is a green shoot piercing the earth. You realize you're not just sketching, you're rediscovering a piece of yourself 5 minutes at a time. Like a gardener tending a plot, you've learned that even the smallest effort, the tiniest seed of time invested, can grow into something beautiful. Each 5-minute sketch was a quiet rebellion against a life of no time. And now a forest of joy stands where once there was only barren routine. Small learning, small steps fuel the momentum that rekindles your spirit. Let's step back and gaze at the barren field of your potential. It stretches endlessly before you, untouched waiting. You hold a seed of curiosity in your hand, a new skill, a fleeting idea, a single fact. It seems so small against the vastness of what you wish to achieve. How could this speck matter? How could one new thing each day possibly shift the landscape of your life? But consider the gardener. They don't plant a forest in one day. They kneel in the dirt, place one seed, then another, trusting in a process they cannot rush. Over time, roots dig deep, stems reach for the sky, and what was once empty becomes alive with growth. This is the hidden power of small learning. It's not about grand leaps or overnight mastery. It's about the quiet, persistent act of planting, choosing to learn one new thing, no matter how trivial it seems. A word, a fact, a 5-second insight, they are seeds. And seeds don't demand perfection, they demand patience. As Jim Rohn once said, success is a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Your daily learning is that discipline. It's the water you pour, the sunlight you offer, even when the ground looks unchanged. Beneath the surface, transformation brews. Momentum builds silent but sure. So ask yourself, what seed are you holding back today out of doubt? What small lesson could you plant right now, trusting it will grow? Think of learning as a river carving through stone. At first, it's just a trickle, barely noticeable, easily dismissed. One new thing a day, how could it matter? A single vocabulary word, a quick tutorial, a fleeting moment of practice. It's mundane, almost invisible. Yet that trickle persists. Day after day it flows, cutting deeper, shaping the stone into a canyon of wisdom. This is the essence of momentum, not in the dramatic, but in the daily. You don't see the river's work in a single moment. You see it in the vastness it creates over time. Too often we chase the storm, the loud, immediate breakthrough, while ignoring the steady drip of small efforts. But storms pass, rivers endure. Your tiny lessons are that river. They shape you not with fanfare, but with quiet force. As Napoleon Hill wrote in Think and Grow, rich patience, persistence, and perspiration make an unbeatable combination for success. Small learning embodies this. It asks you to show up, to plant your seed, even when the soil feels hard and unyielding. What mundane act of learning have you overlooked today? What small drip could you add to your river, knowing it carves a path to greatness? When the weight of growth feels overwhelming, when learning a new skill or habit seems like scaling an impossible peak, pause. Breathe. You don't need to conquer the mountain today. You just need to plant one seed. Start with something so small it feels effortless. Want to learn a language? Commit to one word a day. Write it, say it, use it. Want to master a craft? Give it 5 minutes, no more, no less. The key is to act to begin, no matter how tiny the step. Here's how: first, choose your seed. What's one thing you can learn today? Keep it specific and achievable. Second, tie it to a trigger pair it with a daily habit like learning a word over morning coffee. Third, track it. Use a notebook or app to mark each day you plant a seed. Seeing those marks grow into a streak fuels your momentum. Finally, celebrate the act, not the outcome. The victory isn't in fluency or mastery yet, it's in showing up. Each seed planted is a promise to your future self. So right now, pick one thing, plant it. Watch how even the smallest effort starts to shift the ground beneath you. Your garden of learning will face threats, doubt, distraction, the pull of "I'll do it tomorrow." These are weeds that choke your seeds before they can sprout. Protect your growth with intention. When you feel the urge to skip a day, stop and ask, am I willing to let this seed wither for a moment of ease? Write down one reason to keep going, even if it's just "I promised myself." That reason is your shield. Create a barrier against distraction. Set a specific time for your small learning, 5 minutes before bed, a quick lesson during lunch. Guard that time like a gardener guards tender shoots from frost. Tell yourself, this is mine. If life derails, you don't abandon the garden. Return the next day, plan again. Consistency, not perfection, builds momentum. And when doubt whispers that your efforts are too small, Remember the gardener's truth, even the mightiest forest started with a single fragile seed. Protect your daily learning, and it will grow into something unshakable. Look inward for a moment. Inside you lies a forest, waiting to be born a vast expanse of potential of skills, unlearned passions, unexplored wisdom, untapped. But it doesn't appear fully formed. It begins with a seed, a single act of curiosity. That seed might be a question you dare to ask a tutorial you watch, a note you jot down. It's small, yes, but it's the start of everything. The gardener knows this. No seed is wasted, no effort too minor. Every lesson you learn, every tiny step you take, adds a tree to that inner forest. We often fear our learning isn't enough, that we're too slow, too late. But growth doesn't follow a clock. It follows commitment. As Brian Tracy once said, continuous learning is the minimum requirement for success in any field. Your daily learning, no matter how small, is that continuity. It's the root system spreading beneath the surface, unseen but vital. So what seed will you plant today to nourish the forest within? How will you trust that even the smallest act of learning is shaping a landscape of strength and possibility? As we close this chapter of the Seed of Curiosity, let's stand together on the edge of your garden. Look at the soil you've tilled, the seeds you've planted with each small lesson. You've seen how a frustrated student turns single words into a bridge of connection, how a busy parent reclaimed joy in stolen moments of creation. You've felt the quiet power of daily learning, the momentum it builds, the forest it grows. The key lesson rings clear: small learning, no matter how seemingly insignificant, is the catalyst for unstoppable growth. Each tiny effort is a seed, and every seed holds the promise of transformation. We've walked through the barren fields of doubt and planted together, trusting in a process that unfolds over time. You now know that momentum isn't born from grand gestures, but from persistent, small acts of curiosity. As we prepare to journey deeper in the next section, carry this truth with you. Your forest of wisdom is already taking root. Keep planting, keep nurturing, and watch how even the smallest lessons shape a life of boundless growth. Final mantra: plant one seed today. Your forest awaits. Picture a blacksmith's forge, the air thick with heat and the scent of molten iron. You stand before the anvil, hammer in hand, sweat beading on your brow as sparks fly with every strike. Each blow seems small, insignificant against the raw, unshaped metal before you. Yet with every hit, the iron bends, transforms, and hardens. This is your life. Every new thing you learn, no matter how minor, is a strike on the anvil of your soul, forging resilience, crafting strength. In the face of life's unrelenting challenges, it's not the grand gestures that define you. It's the daily deliberate strikes of learning that shape who you become. Welcome to the heart of transformation. Here in the fiery workshop of your own growth, you'll uncover how learning one new thing every day, no matter how small, builds unyielding adaptability. Challenges will come, storms will rage, but you are the blacksmith of your destiny. Each piece of knowledge, each tiny skill is a blow that hones your edge. Are you ready to strike? Let's step into the forge and discover how daily learning becomes your greatest weapon against adversity. Imagine yourself as a mid-level employee in a bustling office surrounded by the hum of deadlines and the weight of expectations. You're not the tech-savvy star of the team. In fact, you've always shied away from the digital tools that seem to govern every task. Spreadsheets baffle you. Software updates feel like personal attacks. And yet a whisper of ambition stirs within. You decide to learn one small tech skill each day. It starts with something as basic as a keyboard shortcut, Ctrl+C for copy. The next day you tackle a simple formula in a spreadsheet. Day by day, you chip away at your ignorance, often fumbling, often frustrated, but always striking the iron while it's hot. Months pass and a crisis looms. The company's data system crashes during a critical project threatening a major client deal. Panic spreads like wildfire among your colleagues. But you pause. You remember the tiny skills you forged: how to recover hidden files, how to troubleshoot basic errors. With quiet focus, you piece together a solution, restoring the system and saving the day. Your team stares in awe, not realizing that this victory wasn't born from a sudden burst of genius, but from the daily, seemingly insignificant strikes of learning you committed to. Like a blacksmith shaping a blade, each small skill sharpened your edge until you were ready to cut through the toughest challenge. This is the essence of resilience. You didn't transform overnight. You built yourself strike by strike into someone who could stand firm when chaos struck. The lesson is clear. Every minor skill you learn is a blow on the anvil, preparing you for battles you can't yet see. Keep striking. Your strength is growing. Now picture yourself at the lowest point of your journey. Life has battered you, rejection after rejection, failure after failure. Maybe it's a lost job, a shattered relationship, or a dream that slipped through your fingers. You feel like a ship lost in a storm, tossed by waves of doubt with no lighthouse in sight. But amidst the darkness, you make a quiet vow each day. You'll read one inspiring quote, one fragment of wisdom to anchor you. It seems small, almost trivial. What can a few words do against the weight of despair? The first day you stumble upon a line by Maya Angelou. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. It's a spark in the void, a reminder to stand tall. The next day, a quote from Nelson Mandela stirs you. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Slowly, day by day, these words become your hammer striking at the raw iron of your broken spirit. You begin to see setbacks not as endings, but as forges, places where you're shaped into something stronger. Over time, your resolve rebuilds. You face a new challenge, a job interview after months of rejection. Instead of shrinking, you recall the daily wisdom you've absorbed. You walk in with quiet confidence, not because the storm has passed, but because you've learned to sail through it. The lesson shines like polished steel. Even the smallest daily learning, like a single quote, can forge unshakable resilience. Each strike matters. Keep hammering. Your spirit is being shaped for greatness. Let's step back and gaze into the fire of life's forge. Challenges are not accidents. They are the heat that makes transformation possible. Without the searing flame, the iron remains unshaped, soft, useless. So it is with you. Every struggle, every obstacle is the furnace in which your resilience is tested and strengthened. But here's the secret. You are not a passive piece of metal. You are the blacksmith, and daily learning is your hammer. Each new thing you grasp, whether a skill, a perspective, or a shred of wisdom, is a strike that shapes you into something unbreakable. Think about it. How many times have you faced a storm and felt utterly unprepared? How often have you wished for strength you didn't yet possess? The truth is, resilience isn't gifted, it's forged. When you commit to learning one thing every day, no matter how small, you're not just gathering knowledge, you're building the muscle of adaptability. A blacksmith doesn't craft a sword in one mighty blow. It takes thousands of small, precise strikes, each one refining the blade. So it is with you. That new word you learned, that tiny tip you picked up, that fleeting insight you noted, they are all strikes honing your ability to bend without breaking when life's gales howl. Consider the alternative. If you stop striking, if you let the hammer fall idle, the iron cools. You remain unshaped, vulnerable to the next blow. But when you keep learning, you keep the fire alive. You ensure that no challenge catches you unprepared. So grip the hammer of daily learning. Strike with intent. The forge of life awaits, and you are its master. There's a quiet power in the small, the overlooked, the seemingly insignificant. A blacksmith knows this. A single strike may not reshape the iron, but 1,000 small blows create a masterpiece. So it is with your journey of learning. You might scoff at the idea that a minor skill or a fleeting thought can change your life. But tell me, how many mountains have been worn down by the steady drip of a stream? How many cathedrals were built by the patient laying of one stone at a time? The small is not weak, it is the seed of the monumental. When you learn one new thing each day, you're not chasing instant transformation. You're forging resilience through persistence. Challenges will come, deadlines, doubts, disasters. They will test your mettle, bending you under their weight. But those small daily strikes of learning, they've already hardened you. They've taught you to adapt, to pivot, to endure. A new perspective lets you see a problem from a fresh angle. A minor skill becomes the key to a locked door. A single word of wisdom anchors you when despair threatens to sweep you away. These are not trivial things. They are the sparks that keep your inner fire burning. Ask yourself, how many opportunities have you missed because you dismissed the power of the small? How often have you waited for a grand breakthrough, ignoring the steady work of daily growth? Resilience isn't born in a single heroic moment. It's crafted in the quiet, consistent strikes of learning. So don't underestimate the weight of your daily hammer. Each blow is building something extraordinary. Keep striking. The iron of your spirit is taking shape. Let's get to the anvil. Forging resilience through daily learning isn't a lofty ideal, it's a practical, actionable choice. Start here, commit to learning one new thing every day, no matter how small. It could be a keyboard shortcut, a new word, a historical fact, or a line of inspiration. The key isn't the size of the lesson, it's the consistency of the strike. Set a specific time, 5 minutes each morning or before bed, and make it non-negotiable. Use a notebook or an app to jot down what you've learned. Seeing your progress in ink will fuel your fire. When challenges strike, and they will pause before you react. Ask yourself, what small thing have I learned that can help me here? Maybe it's a breathing technique to calm your nerves before a tough conversation. Maybe it's a simple organizing tip that helps you tackle a chaotic workload. These tiny tools forged day by day become your armor against adversity. And if doubt creeps in, whispering that your efforts are too small to matter, silence it by reviewing your list of daily learnings. Each entry is a strike on the anvil, proof that you're shaping yourself into something stronger. Resilience grows in the doing. So pick up your hammer today. Choose one small thing to learn before the sun sets. Write it down. Reflect on it. Let it be your first blow. Tomorrow, strike again. You're not just learning, you're forging a version of yourself that no challenge can shatter. Challenges don't wait for you to feel ready. They strike like sudden storms, testing your ability to adapt. Here's how daily learning becomes your shield. First, build a habit of curiosity. When pressure mounts, don't freeze, seek. Ask, what can I learn right now to navigate this? It might be a quick online tutorial to solve a work glitch or a podcast snippet on managing stress. Even under fire, a single strike of learning can shift the tide. Second, anchor yourself with a daily reflection. At the end of each day, ask, what did I learn today that makes me stronger? Maybe it's a mistake you won't repeat, or a kind word that reminded you of your worth. Write it down. This practice turns even the hardest days into forges of growth. Finally, when you feel overwhelmed, lean on the wisdom of others. As Viktor E. Frankl wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Let a daily dose of inspiration, even a single quote, remind you that adaptability is your choice. Resilience isn't about avoiding pressure, it's about bending without breaking. So strike daily. Learn under the heat of life's challenges. Each small lesson is a blow that shapes you into someone who can withstand any storm. Keep the hammer moving. Your strength is in the making. As the embers of this forge glow, let's hammer down the truth. Daily learning, no matter how small, builds resilience that no challenge can shatter. You've seen it in the employee who turned tiny tech skills into a workplace triumph, and in the seeker who rebuilt their spirit with a daily dose of wisdom. You've felt it in the philosophical fire, how each strike of knowledge hones your adaptability, how the smallest lessons carry the weight of transformation. And you've armed yourself with practical tools to keep striking day after day, no matter the storm. The takeaway is this: resilience isn't a gift, it's a craft. Every new thing you learn is a blow on the anvil of your life, shaping you into someone who can stand unyielding against adversity. As we move forward, prepare to explore how these daily strikes not only fortify you, but also illuminate paths you never thought possible. For now, hold this truth close. Keep your hammer raised, strike with purpose. Final mantra: strike daily. Your strength is forged in the smallest blows. Picture yourself lost at sea, engulfed by a fog so thick it swallows the horizon. You can't see the shore, can't hear the waves, can't feel anything but the weight of uncertainty pressing down on your chest. Where do you turn? How do you navigate when every direction feels like a void? Here's the truth: each small piece of knowledge you gain is a lighthouse piercing through that fog, a beam of clarity cutting through the unknown. In the vast ocean of life, learning one new thing every day, no matter how small, becomes your guide, your anchor, your way forward. Welcome to a journey of illumination, where the theme of learning daily transforms from a mere habit into a lifeline. You're not just collecting facts or tips, you're building a path through the haze of doubt and fear. This section illuminating the unknown is about how each fragment of understanding you grasp lights up the darkness of uncertainty, guiding you toward clarity over time. Feel the urgency. Now, you don't need to know everything today, but you must commit to learning something. Let's dive into the storm together and discover how even the smallest beams of insight can steer you to safer shores. Imagine stepping into a new career, a young professional with a freshly inked degree but a mind buzzing with self-doubt. You're in a tech startup surrounded by jargon that feels like a foreign tongue. APIs, agile sprints, cloud integrations. Your first week you fumble through meetings, nodding as if you understand while inside panic churns like a tempest. You're adrift in a sea of uncertainty, the fog of inexperience blinding you to your potential. Quitting seems easier than enduring the humiliation of asking basic questions. But you pause. You decide to learn one small thing each day, no matter how trivial it seems. Day 1, you research what an API really is, scribbling notes on a sticky pad. Day 2, you watch a 5-minute video on agile methodology. Day 3, you ask a colleague to explain a term over coffee, swallowing your pride. Each day, a tiny spark of understanding flickers. Weeks pass, and those sparks build into a steady glow. You start contributing ideas in meetings hesitantly at first, then with growing assurance. Months later, you're leading a small project. Your voice steady, your mind clear. The fog of doubt hasn't vanished entirely, but now you see beams of light cutting through it, each piece of knowledge, a lighthouse guiding you forward. The lesson here is simple yet profound. You don't need to master everything at once. Each daily lesson, each small victory is a beacon illuminating your path through the unknown. As you learned, so did your confidence grow, proving that clarity comes not from a sudden epiphany, but from the persistent gathering of light. Now picture a different kind of fog, one born not of inexperience, but of loss. You've lost someone, dear, a parent, a partner, a friend, and the world feels like a hollow shell. Grief wraps around you like a suffocating mist, blurring your sense of purpose, your will to rise each morning. Days blend into nights, and you're lost, unable to see a way out. But one day amidst the tears, you stumble upon a small act. You learn to breathe deeply for 5 minutes, a tiny coping strategy from a book on mindfulness. It doesn't erase the pain, but it gives you a fleeting moment of calm. The next day, you learn to write one sentence in a journal about a memory of your loved one, a way to honor rather than bury them. Day by day, you seek out small tools, how to meditate for a minute longer, how to name your emotions without judgment, how to walk in nature and feel the earth beneath you. Each lesson is a pinprick of light in the overwhelming dark. Over time, the fog of grief doesn't disappear, but it thins. You begin to see shapes in the distance, hope perhaps, or a new way to carry your loss. Those small daily learnings, those fragile beams of insight, become your lighthouse, guiding you through the storm of sorrow toward a place of quiet strength. The takeaway shines clear even in your darkest moments. Learning one small thing each day can pierce the haze. It's not about forgetting or moving on. It's about finding enough light to take the next step, trusting that clarity will build with time. Let's pause and reflect on the fog that surrounds us all. Uncertainty is not a flaw in your journey. It's the very landscape you must navigate. You live in a world of endless questions. Will this decision lead to success? Will this pain ever ease? How do you know you're on the right path? These doubts swirl like a dense mist, obscuring your vision, tempting you to stand still or turn back. But consider this: what if the fog isn't your enemy, but your teacher? What if every moment of uncertainty is an invitation to learn, to seek, to grow? Think of your mind as a lighthouse on a jagged cliff. Each new piece of knowledge you acquire, whether it's a skill, a perspective, or a simple truth, sends out a beam into the unknown. That beam doesn't clear the fog entirely. It doesn't need to. It only needs to show you the next few steps, the next safe harbor. Over time, as you gather more light, the fog thins and the horizon emerges. Isn't it remarkable how a single insight can shift everything? How often have you stumbled in darkness, only to find that one small lesson changed your course forever? Dive deeper now. Why do we fear the unknown so fiercely? Is it because we crave certainty, or because we underestimate our own resilience? Look at your life. How many times have you faced a storm of doubt, only to emerge stronger on the other side? The truth is, you don't need a blazing sun to banish the fog of uncertainty. You need only a series of small, steady beams, each one a lesson learned, a truth uncovered, a skill honed. These are not grand revelations. They are the quiet whispers of progress, the gentle nudges that keep you moving. Imagine a ship lost at sea, its crew weary and disoriented. A lighthouse doesn't need to illuminate the entire ocean to save them. It only needs to shine bright enough to signal safety. So it is with your daily learning. That one new thing you embrace today, a way to manage stress, a tip to improve your craft, a perspective on patience is a beam piercing your personal fog. Over weeks, months, years, those beams overlap, creating a web of clarity you never thought possible. Remember, you're not just surviving the unknown, you're illuminating it piece by persistent piece. Let's turn philosophy into action. When uncertainty looms, and it will commit to learning one small thing each day to guide you through. Start with intention every morning. Ask yourself, what can I learn today to light my path? It doesn't have to be monumental. If you're navigating a career shift, research one industry term or tool for 10 minutes. If you're wrestling with personal doubt, read a single page of a book on resilience. The key is consistency, not scale. Next, document your light. Keep a small notebook or digital note where you jot down what you learned each day. Seeing those entries stack up is like watching beams of light multiply from your lighthouse. When the fog of doubt thickens, revisit those notes. They'll remind you how far you've come. Finally, share your learning with someone. Teach a colleague that new tip or tell a friend about the coping strategy you discovered. Teaching solidifies your light, making it brighter for both you and others. Uncertainty shrinks when you take these deliberate steps, proving that clarity is built one beam at a time. Here's another set of tools to wield when the unknown feels overwhelming. First, pause before reacting to uncertainty with fear. Take a deep breath and ask, what is one small thing I can learn right now to understand this better? If you're facing a challenge at work, search for a quick tutorial or ask a mentor for a single piece of advice. If it's a personal struggle, seek out a short article or podcast on handling that specific emotion. This act of seeking transforms fear into curiosity. Second, set a tiny achievable learning goal for the day, something you can complete in under 15 minutes. Maybe it's learning a keyboard shortcut, a breathing exercise, or a new word. Small wins build momentum, cutting through the fog like sharp, focused beams. Lastly, celebrate each lesson, no matter how minor. Whisper to yourself, I've added light to my path today. As Napoleon Hill wrote in Think and Grow Rich, every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Your daily learning is that seed. Nurture it and watch clarity bloom. As we weave through these stories and reflections, let's draw strength from timeless wisdom. In Atomic Habits, James Clear reminds us, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Your system of learning one new thing daily is your lighthouse's foundation. Without it, the fog wins. Similarly, in The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle urges realize deeply that the present moment is all you have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. Each small lesson you learn today anchors you in the now, piercing the fog of worry about tomorrow. These insights aren't just words, they're beams of light reinforcing that your daily commitment to growth is the key to navigating uncertainty. As we close this chapter of Illuminating the Unknown, let's stand together on the cliff of reflection. You've seen how a young professional turned daily tips into a career-defining confidence, how someone lost in grief found flickers of hope through small coping strategies. You've pondered the nature of uncertainty and the power of small beams of knowledge. You've armed yourself with actionable steps to build your own lighthouse day by day. The takeaway burns bright: learning one new thing every day, no matter how small, guides you through the fog of uncertainty and builds clarity over time. Remember, you don't need to banish the fog entirely. You only need enough light to take the next step. Each piece of knowledge, each fragment of understanding is a beacon calling you forward. As we prepare to explore further depths in the journey of daily learning, carry this truth with you. The unknown is not a barrier, but a canvas for your illumination. Keep seeking, keep learning, keep shining. Final mantra: shine your light daily. Even the smallest beam pierces the deepest fog. Picture yourself at the base of a towering mountain, its peak hidden in the shroud of morning mist. The summit seems an impossible dream, a distant realm reserved for the boldest, the strongest, the youngest. Yet here you stand, boots laced, resolve burning in your chest. Why do you climb? Because every step, no matter how small, carves your path to mastery. Every fragment of knowledge you gather is a foothold, every lesson a higher ledge. This is the heart of your journey, learning one new thing each day, no matter how minor, propels you forward. In this ascent, you're not just scaling a mountain, you're building a life of relentless growth. Feel the weight of that first step. It's not just a movement, it's a promise to yourself. You will rise, you will endure, and with every inch gained, you'll see the cumulative power of small victories. Welcome to the summit of small steps, where daily learning becomes your greatest triumph. Are you ready to ascend? Imagine a woman named Clara, well into her 60s, sitting alone at her kitchen table. Her hands once steady with the routine of a lifetime tremble slightly as she stares at a blank sheet of paper and a set of watercolor brushes. Painting. At her age, the idea feels absurd. Her inner voice scoffs. You're too old to start. What's the point? But something stirs within her, a flicker of defiance. She decides to learn one small thing today: how to mix blue and yellow to make green. It's clumsy. The brush slips. The color looks more like mud than meadow. Yet she smiles. Tomorrow she learns to stroke the brush with less force. The next day she studies how light plays on a simple apple. Day by day she stumbles, learns, adjusts. Months pass, then years. Clara's kitchen table becomes a gallery of landscapes, rivers that shimmer, mountains that loom with quiet strength. Friends marvel at her work, but she knows the truth. This mastery wasn't born overnight. It was forged in the quiet, persistent steps of daily learning. Like a mountaineer ascending a peak, each tiny lesson was a foothold, each mistake a lesson in grip. She once thought painting was impossible for her, but she stands now at her own summit, brush in hand, proof that no dream is too late, no skill too far. Clara's story whispers to you every small step counts. Every day you learn, you climb higher. What impossibility looms before you? What skill have you dismissed as not for me? Clara's ascent reminds you that the summit isn't reached in leaps. It's conquered in the steady rhythm of small, deliberate steps. Her takeaway echoes in your bones. Daily learning, no matter how minor, builds a life of mastery. Now picture a man named Elias in his 40s, sitting on his porch at dusk, a worn journal in his lap. He flips through pages filled with scribbled notes, random facts, fleeting insights, tiny lessons from years past. One entry reads, "Learned how to tie a bowline knot today. Might come in handy." Another figured out 3 phrases in Spanish. "Hola, amigo." Small win. At the time, these seemed trivial, mere drops in an endless sea. But as Elias reflects, he sees a pattern, a life quietly built from these fragments of growth. That knot saved him during a stormy camping trip. Those Spanish phrases sparked a conversation that led to a lifelong friendship. Each small lesson, once insignificant, has woven into the fabric of who he is. Elias isn't a prodigy or a pioneer. He's just a man who chose to learn one thing every day, no matter how small. And now looking back, he sees his own mountain, a peak of unexpected achievements, built not with grand gestures, but with the steady grit of daily progress. Like a mountaineer, each step seemed minor in the moment, but together they've lifted him to a breathtaking view. His story calls to you. What have you learned today? What small stone have you added to your own peak? Elias teaches us that the summit isn't a single destination, it's the life you craft one lesson at a time. Pause for a moment. Look at the mountain before you. Its slopes are steep, its paths jagged. You might think, I'll never reach the top. I'm too slow. I'm too small. But let me tell you a truth as old as the earth itself. Mountains are not conquered by speed, but by persistence. Every inch you gain through daily learning is a victory. Every new skill, every scrap of wisdom is a stone laid in the foundation of your greatness. You don't need to sprint. You don't need to soar. You only need to move one step, one lesson, one day at a time. Think of your life as a vast range of peaks. Each goal, each dream is a summit waiting for you. But the path isn't always clear. Storms of doubt will rage. Rocks of failure will trip you. Yet every time you learn something new, how to navigate a challenge, how to mend a broken plan, How to stand after a fall, you carve a higher path. As Jim Rohn once said, success is a few simple disciplines practiced every day. That's the secret of the mountaineer. Small, consistent steps build unshakable strength. What have you dismissed as too small to matter? How many inches have you gained without noticing? The summit of mastery isn't a gift. It's a promise fulfilled by the cumulative impact of every lesson you embrace. Let's go deeper. Why do we climb at all? Why commit to learning one new thing every day when the world offers shortcuts and quick fixes? Because the climb itself is the reward. The summit isn't just a destination. It's a state of being, a life of growth, of becoming more than you were yesterday. You're not just ascending a mountain, you're forging yourself into something stronger, sharper, more alive. Every lesson is a hammer strike shaping the raw steel of your potential. Every small step is a brushstroke on the canvas of your legacy. Consider the river that carves through stone, not in a day, not in a year, but over centuries of quiet persistence. Your daily learning is that river. It may seem slow, even invisible at times, but it cuts deep, reshaping your world in ways you can't yet see. What legacy are you carving with your small steps? What mountain are you destined to summit if you refuse to stop? The beauty of this lifelong climb is that there's no final peak. There's always another horizon, another lesson, another chance to rise. Commit to this journey. Let daily growth be your compass, and you'll find that mastery isn't a place, it's who you become along the way. Now let's ground this in action. You want to celebrate the cumulative impact of daily learning, but where do you start? It's simpler than you think. Begin with intention. Each morning ask yourself, what is one thing I can learn today? It doesn't have to be grand. It could be a new word, a quick tip on cooking, or a single fact about a topic that intrigues you. Write it down. Make it real. This act of choosing sets your footing for the day's ascent. Then commit to just 10 minutes. 10 minutes to read, to watch a tutorial, to practice a skill. Time is a mountain too, and 10 minutes is a step you can always take. Track your progress. Keep a small notebook or a digital note of what you've learned each day. Over weeks, months, you'll see the path you've climbed. When doubt creeps in, whispering that you're not moving fast enough, look back at those notes. See the evidence of your growth. You're not standing still. You're ascending. One small step at a time, you're building a summit of mastery. Start today. What will your first step be? Here's another tool to keep you climbing. Life will test you. Distractions will pull at your focus. Fatigue will weigh on your shoulders. But you can anchor your commitment to daily learning with a simple ritual. At the end of each day, pause. Reflect. Ask, what did I learn today? If the answer is nothing, don't despair. Seize the moment. Pick up a book, listen to a podcast, or even recall a conversation. Find one nugget of insight before you sleep. This ritual isn't just reflection. It's a promise to yourself that no day will pass without growth. Pair this with a visual reminder. Place a small object, a stone, a coin, a token on your desk or bedside table. Each time you learn something new, move it to a different spot or add it to a jar. Let it be your mountain, growing with every step. As Robin Sharma wrote in The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, small daily improvements over time lead to stunning results. This ritual, this tangible proof of progress, will fuel your lifelong commitment to growth. When the path feels steep, look at your growing pile of stones. You're climbing, you're winning. What will your reminder be? Anchor your ascent today. Finally, let's stand at a higher vantage point. Imagine you've climbed for years, one lesson at a time. You turn back and see the path you forged winding uneven but unbroken. From this height, the struggles seem smaller, the doubts mere whispers. You realize that daily learning wasn't just about reaching a summit. It was about crafting a life of resilience, of wonder, of endless possibility. Every small step taught you not just a skill, but who you are. Every lesson was a mirror reflecting your strength back to you. The mountaineer knows this truth: the summit isn't the end. It's a place to breathe, to marvel, to see new peaks on the horizon. Your journey of daily learning is the same. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. It's not about speed, it's about soul. As Napoleon Hill said in Think and Grow Rich, strength and growth come only through continuous effort and struggle. What new peak calls to you now? How will you use today's small step to answer that call? Stand tall. The view from above shows you've already conquered more than you know. Keep climbing. Your next summit awaits. You've journeyed through the stories of Clara and Elias, felt the weight of each small step, and seen the towering impact of daily learning. You've reflected on the mountaineer's path, where every inch gained through a new lesson builds a life of mastery. The takeaway is clear: the cumulative power of learning one thing every day, no matter how small, transforms you into someone unstoppable. It's not about the size of the step, it's about the direction. It's not about the speed, it's about the commitment. You are the architect of your own summit, and every fragment of knowledge is a brick in that monument. As you move forward, carry this truth in your heart. Let it guide you through storms of doubt and valleys of fatigue. The path ahead will twist, but your resolve will hold. Keep learning, keep climbing, and when you look back, you'll see not just a mountain conquered, but a life forged in the fire of growth. Prepare yourself for the next leg of this journey, where new lessons and new peaks await. For now, stand firm with this mantra echoing in your soul: every step builds my summit.